Hey everyone, Ponyo here. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of After Dinner Mints. Before we begin, I highly encourage everyone watching to join us in the Art Blocks Discord. A link to our Discord can be found in the description of this video. As always, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss an episode of our weekly show. And now I want to introduce our guest for today. We have Art Blocks engineer Mike Spellcheck.
Hey, Panyo. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for inviting me today.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining me on After Dinner Mints. To kind of kick things off, do you mind telling us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, I'd love to. Well, I am an engineer for Art Blocks, and so I work on our website, our backend, smart contract deployments, testing, anything that needs work on it. And I got into crypto before I got into engineering, actually. And I was just having so much fun, as a degen. And I thought, well, why don't I get as technical as I can and see what's happening under the hood?
Cool. Well, we appreciate you being on. I think today's conversation and discussion is just going to be super important for people of all levels in the crypto and NFT space. We're going to be talking about scams. And yeah, I'll go ahead and let you take it from here, Mike.
Yeah, I'd love to. Sounds good. Um, so let's see. So today we're going to be talking about scams, and what we're really going to focus on is social engineering in particular, right? So anybody who's been in the space for a while knows that there are all kinds of people out there who are malicious users who want to take your money, your hard-earned NFTs, your tokens, and it's a real shame. It's a real problem in the space, and so I just wanted to kind of go through some social engineering scams with y'all and take a look at what kind of attacks we can expect, what we've seen before, and how we can keep ourselves safe from attacks in the future. Um, so before we really get into the examples, I just want to talk a little generally about like what a social engineering scam is, right? Because we've seen hacks, as early as the DAO hack in 2016 and earlier, that are technical in nature, where there's some problem with the smart contract. There's a buggy piece of code, and that can be attacked by somebody. Um, on the network directly. And that's not what we're going to talk about today. We're actually going to talk about social engineering, which is any scam where the exploit is not technical related and they're actually targeting you and they're trying to trick you into revealing sensitive information. That might be a password, that might be your seed phrase for your wallet, and so that's our focus today. So before we get into the examples, I just want to say, and I'm sure anybody who's not new to crypto knows this, but it bears repeating. Never, ever, ever share your seed phrase with anybody, right? So, Art Block staff is not going to ask you for your seed phrase. Metamask support is not going to ask you for your seed phrase. And your seed phrase is that 12 word string that backs up your wallet and that lets you reset your wallet and get access again. So, we're going to see a lot of examples, but no matter what, never, ever, ever share your seed phrase, and try to practice good wallet hygiene when you can. Use a hardware wallet, try to keep it offline so that it's not um, exposed and it can't be attacked by somebody who's tracking your keystrokes on your keyboard or anything like that, because that stuff does happen. But yeah, let's get into it. So I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with Discord, and we get messages all the time, maybe from users in Black Talk or otherwise, but there are a lot of users in there who are actually going to message you out of the blue with some kind of a giveaway or some kind of rewards. And so here's an example right here where Uniswap reached out to somebody. This is a picture just pulled from online, but it looks pretty official, right? At Uniswap is reaching out and saying, "Hey, we've got some ZK swap rewards, 2.5 ETH and 25,000 ZKS. And guess what? You were the lucky winner. Can you believe it? So all you have to do to claim your rewards is go to this link and click through and log in using a private key and wait and get your tokens." Um, well, I mean, let's be honest, if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. If you're getting any kind of message like this and it's been, you know, unprompted, you didn't know it was coming, you don't know who the user is, especially, that's a huge red flag if you don't know who is reaching out to you. But even in the case where it's Uniswap and it's a brand that you recognize, there's a good chance that something like this is a scam and they're trying to steal your money. Right here, private key. That's a huge red flag. You should never have to give a private key to anybody. Bears repeating. And what you'll often see is that a message like this is kind of a one-shot deal. You know, they're not asking for you to reach out to them. It's not a conversation. This isn't somebody that you know. It's either a brand account or it's a complete stranger. But even if it is somebody that you know, there can always be spoof accounts, right? So you got to be careful with a cold DM like this that you're not expecting. If I jump over to this other example, you know, it's a different kind of reward, but it's a similar issue where claim your nitro as the user, and they're reaching out to you and they're saying, hey, we have a free subscription for you. It's free nitro, you know, so 1 month of, you know, Discord access and you know, free video games or whatever. Sounds awesome, but it's not legit. Something like this is very rarely an actual offer. And when you click that link, you're exposing yourself. Now, just because they're not asking you for a private key here doesn't mean it's not malicious. You could go to this website and it could, I mean, this is Discord, but it's discord.gift. I'm almost certain seeing something like this, that this isn't an official Discord giveaway, because they probably don't have the .gift domain. That's not some, you know, access point that Discord they would be emailing you, right? They wouldn't have you go through this convoluted click-through link. And so this website is probably going to, you know, inject some software onto your computer that's going to watch your wallet, pull your funds, do something that you obviously want to avoid. So these are both examples of cold reach outs from somebody that you don't know, right? And here is even another red flag where, like, you don't see that you're sharing any Discord servers with this person. There's a mutual server here in this case, but that's an even bigger red flag if this is a total stranger, you don't know how they found you. But then this Twitter thread is actually a more, you know, even a sneakier example where Lions800.eth, they're a founder of Bacon DAO and City DAO, and they you know, published this thread explaining this hack that happened in their DAOs where user funds were stolen through a Discord connection and thread. So what they explain here is that they're saying, you know, my account was hacked and the server was exploited, and I've seen it happen a few times, and this is usually the pattern. So again, this is just an example, but in this case, the scammer basically made a conversation in a screenshot between a user and a moderator. Now the hacker here is the moderator. So Lions800 is talking to a moderator, or a quote unquote moderator, in a different Discord. So let's say he's talking in City DAO, and some moderator reaches out to him and says, hey, there's a scammer using your name and they're stealing money from people. You need to verify who you are, Lions800. So Lions800 is like, all right, I saw this message. I immediately went to the server to verify who the mod was claiming to be. And the mod checked out. Their username was an exact match. So they're already suspicious, but it looked valid, right? And so Lions800 is talking to the moderator. Again, it's a fake moderator. And Lions explains somebody obviously created an account using non-ASCII characters to pretend to be Lions800. So he's got to go, or they have to go and verify their identity. So I suggested a voice call and sending messages to the fake user, the fake Lions800, proving that he or they own, you know, the valid account. So Lions800 gets on a voice call with the moderator, who again they assume is a real moderator, and they talk about the attack. And the moderator asks Lions to verify they're not masking their IP or their identity, and to inspect their browser console. So Lions exposes some, you know, network calls. You can, I'm sure a lot of you, you know, right-clicked and inspected in a browser. If you haven't, it looks like this. And somebody added some text here, but this is exactly what Lions exposed, right? And said, okay, like, here are some API calls. You can tell that, I'm legit. And they deleted this tweet, but I think here they're talking about a Discord access token because Lions is a moderator of a Discord, right? And so the access token showed up in those API calls, and the scammer, the moderator, was able to get that token. And so once the attacker had access, the next step of the scam was to exploit the City DAO and Bacon DAO server. The scammer did this by using my user, my webhooks, and the Discord server booster role. Now, you can't revoke a booster after it's been issued. And so the moderator is taking Lions' account, and they have all the access that Lions as an admin has. So they use webhooks. They create new webhooks in the server to basically let them post announcements in the announcements channel. Now, anytime that you see an announcement in the ArtBlocks server, you trust it and you see that it's coming from Snowfro or somebody that you recognize. And so this is really misleading, and it's really, really effective for all the users in the Discord who believe that they can mint NFTs based on this new announcement, but it's a malicious link. And so he just goes on to explain more and more about the details of what happened, when users went on to mint and how difficult it was to, regain access. But now I say here, like, to reiterate, I'm extremely security conscious and I take everything to another level to keep my data secure. And I had no idea this was even possible or really how it happened. So you got to be careful and second guess. Unfortunately, a lot of what you see in crypto, if you see an announcement, it's important to verify that the rest of the community is talking about it. In this case, that wouldn't have necessarily helped because everybody is new to this. So you may see messages from moderators saying, "Hey, this malicious attack is happening, and you need to, not click XYZ link." Or, but I just wanted to, point this out that even moderators need to be careful because they're big targets. ArtBlocks employees, we're community facing, but all ArtBlocks employees, I would suggest just being aware of what can happen in the space. So we're going to continue looking at bots, and how random bot accounts can kind of spoof and appear to be more legit than they are. Collabland is an example of a bot that pretty much every Discord uses very frequently to verify users in the space, right? So if you join a new Discord, you've probably seen, a channel like a join channel or a verify channel where you had to, say like apostrophe join, and then you get a message from a bot. Usually it's Collabland, and they're reaching out to you and saying, "Hey, can you connect to your MetaMask?" And then, we'll verify that you're legit. So this is the correct bot, and this is a fake bot. And you can see the Discord signature here. I mean, I would have to double check the verified Collabland signature, but this one is a fake one. And if you see collab.land with some characters after it, then if they're DMing you, then that's not legit. If you get a DM from Collabland and you haven't tried to connect, or you haven't clicked join or typed join into their channel and you haven't initiated that flow, that's another red flag. But I bring this up because there's a scam somebody ran into, unfortunately, and the scam was looking for their secret secret phrase, right? Their 12 word backup phrase for their MetaMask. And so this is kind of a walkthrough for how it happened. They were trying to join Sandbox and a few other Discords. And so again, when you join, you have to verify. And so they go through this verify, they kick it off and say, "Hey, I want to join." Collabland reached out to them with the connect here, click here, link that we just saw. So yeah, you would think that you need to click here. They clicked through and they actually went to this website that was pretty identical to what you would see if you were going through the normal Collabland authentication flow. There's this background, there are all these different wallet options that you have in front of you. So after that, they they click MetaMask, right? And then they have the prompt to enter, a security check. But um, here's the big red flag again, right? 12-word phrase. MetaMask should not be asking you for this. Generally, if you're not logged into your MetaMask already, then you would enter your password here. And that's maybe, 12 letters or numbers. That's some combination that you have set. Um, but that wouldn't give the scammers access to your wallet, but your 12-word phrase would. And so this is the exploit right here. So how can you identify that this flow, is spammy? Well, the long URL here is a red flag. Something like this, or maybe um, a domain that doesn't look quite right. Maybe there's an extra L or the IO. It would be normally nftcollab.io, for example, or .com, and this time it's .land. So that's a little suspicious. And then in the real MetaMask window, if you've used MetaMask, you'll know the fox follows you around. Your cursor, as it moves, it's this cute little fox head that follows you around. And in this case, it actually didn't. So the scammers didn't quite, handle the animation of the fox, and they had some other, um, I guess, discrepancies. Um, if you hovered over MetaMask support, this is a link. This is a URL. So usually you would see the hand. My cursor right now is like a type, font cursor. And this is a hand when you're hovering over an active link. And it did not happen that way in the scam window. It actually wouldn't change your cursor. Here, if you enter the password, you can unlock, but you can't unlock if there's no password because they have some authentication. But over here, you could click confirm if you didn't actually type anything in and see it's loading. And most importantly, yeah, that 12-word phrase. You should never, never, never add that in when you're logging into MetaMask. They might expose it to you if you ask, and you might need to see that, but that's a separate part of MetaMask. That is, not a login. And so, when you're looking through this, these are all really subtle things. They're all small details, but it can help to just be aware of what might be somewhat off, might smell a little funny. And as you go through the flow before you enter that password in, you start thinking, this just doesn't seem right. Something about this doesn't seem like it checks out.
Hey, Mike,
But
do you
it's
mind if I
generally.
jump in real quick?
Oh, please, please, please. I'm gonna
Yeah,
jump back
I
to
was
that
just gonna
screen.
say, I know some people have mentioned in our Discord, it's like, oh, well, how come, Artblocks doesn't have a way to verify if we're like an owner of an NFT using Collabland? And the reason is exactly, what you kind of just showcased, is because, even if we were to, set up Collabland and yeah, people would have that role, it would look nice, maybe they'd have a private channel. I mean, I think some people would still get scammed because people aren't aware that like how these small subtleties happen on the website. And obviously it's better to just protect our community more than running the risk of doing a collab land and then some people falling into this trap essentially. And so I just wanted to highlight that. That's all.
Yeah, no, thank you for highlighting it. I mean, and that's kind of that's a great example of the debates that we'll have whenever we're looking at a new, third party to integrate. Because every one of them comes with all these great benefits, and Collabland is so like highly used across the space, but then you get downsides too. And even just opening up to an extra third party it's a new attack surface. Like we might not know, what they're exposed to, what the new scam might be, and they could be a target, and then that makes us a target too.
Mm-hmm. And I also wanted to mention, I know you were talking about hardware wallets. I think it's good to highlight also that, if you are buying a hardware wallet, to buy it directly from the manufacturer. Don't buy it on eBay or Amazon, or if it's like a giveaway at maybe like an NFT event, like, you don't know if that's going to be, compromised hardware wallet, and then you put it in your computer and it basically, gives all of that information or NFTs and your currencies all to, some person. So anyways, I just wanted to throw that out there as well.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's yeah, a really, really great tip that you want to be careful of any resellers of a ledger or a Trezor or anything like that. It's always better to buy direct because you know that you're getting it from the manufacturer, and nobody, hopefully nobody, got their hands on it in between.
Mhm.
So let's see. Let's jump over to one last bot attack here. Similar, but different from some of the ones we talked about earlier. And it's another, attack through a Discord server using a bot. Um, Similar to one of the other ones, this is an announcement channel attack where what they're doing is they're actually announcing a stealth launch. And so the other announcement hack was a lot more sophisticated, honestly. In that case, they were targeting, the founder and getting access to their Discord account. And this one actually targeted a lot of Discords that didn't have really strong controls over access and permissions to like which channels could be posted in by um, users. And that's like we want users to have as much power and ability within Discord as we can, but at the same time we have to be careful and kind of weigh those pros and cons. And that's generally why some channels are reserved only for art blocks, right? But yeah, in this case, some scam users could post about a stealth launch. That's the kind of phrase they kept using, and it would direct users to a fake website where they could mint NFTs, or at least that was the idea. But really, as soon as you send that money, it just funnels ETH into a scammer's wallet. And yeah, they're exploiting lax controls around Discord integrations to get access to the server. So here's some tips, along the lines of what we've been talking about. But you want to be careful around announcements posted by bots, especially if it's posted by a bot. If it's not posted by Ponyo, by Druid, by Snowfro, if it's posted by Artbot, I mean, that's our bot, but it could be a scam account that's meant to look like Artbot. And obviously, we'll take that down, but just a heads up that can be a vector of attack too, if it's a bot posting an announcement. Um, and stealth mint could be a good phrase to watch out for, especially if you're looking at a collection, if you're looking at um, some new collectible project that has said that they are building and adding to their community and they're not ready for a launch, and then they suddenly tell you that they're actually switching to a stealth launch. Like, that could be a little sus, because if they've spent weeks doing community building and there's a whitelist open, why are they doing this sudden change of direction? Um, and so I think that's gonna, conclude our bot attacks. We're gonna go, kind of zoom out a little bit, just some other examples of exploits that we've seen in the past, to show some more variety. Um, so here's actually a screenshot from one of my wallets where I was given some free NFTs. Here you can see two. One is a kind of a canvas, like acrylic painting, and this is a animated. Obviously, it's a screenshot, but yeah, I woke up one day and I was like, oh hey, someone sent me some free NFTs. I wonder how much these are worth. I wonder if I can flip them. What's the deal here? Um, but as soon as I looked at this one, disordered shapes, the history just looked a little funny, right? So they just airdropped it to me, and this was a while ago, but they airdropped it to me after minting it, sent it to my wallet, and then here they've either listed or bid on it. It's funny that it's saying list, because obviously they shouldn't be listing and having access to list an item in my wallet, right? Sent to me already. So this looks to me like they were bidding on it, but why would they bid on something that they just sent me for free? That's a little odd, right? And if we go to look at the piece itself, there's four owners of the collection. There's five total in whatever disordered shapes is. Looks like I own one of them. Lucky me. They're the one bidding on it, and I'm assuming they're probably doing the same thing with the other four owners, or the other three owners that they sent one of these to. And so, okay, so how is this a hack? If they want to buy it from me, why is that a bad thing? Why is free money a bad thing? Well, this was actually an exploit that looks to have been fixed for now, but we should, look into how it happened, right? So uh, this was Checkpoint Research who found this exploit and who was able to prove what was happening. And it was an OpenSea exploit where Checkpoint was able to drain the wallet of users by offering a free NFT, a gift. And what happened is they would actually have an SVG image, like the SVG is the work that you're looking at. But they would actually put a payload into the SVG of a JavaScript file that's a malicious file, and that would kind of activate as soon as you click on it. So, you go ahead, you click on the artwork, it opens up in a new tab, and then the SVG is executed under storage.opensea.io. And so this JavaScript file, what it does is it opens up an Ethereum object in your browser, and your browser says, "Oh, okay, I'm connected to the Ethereum network, to JSON RPC," um, and the JSON script opens up one of those MetaMask approval windows. And so it says, "Hey, we just need your approval. Can you just sign to accept this free gift or to pay the transaction fee?" And you're like, "Ah, that's fair. I could sell this thing for $200. I should pay the $20 it costs to accept it." But when you're signing that, what looks like from storage OpenSea.io is really from this malicious user, and you're signing a signature that says, "You have access to drain all of my money in my wallet," which is probably not what you're trying to do, right? And so, yeah, these are malicious. And OpenSea since then has created that hidden tab, so that you can hide listings that you either don't want anyone to see or look spammy and are something you don't want to interact with. But it looks like they also fixed the vulnerability as well. So that's a great story. I haven't heard of many people or really anybody being exploited by this, and it was I think 6 months ago that it was found. But it's still a potential vector for, let's say, super rare or looks rare or another marketplace, or something like this could still be out there as a vulnerability in maybe a different way. And so that's just something to be aware of, maybe. Um, in addition to that, I mean, there were just outright plagiarism in the NFT space, which is a real shame. And that's something that affects artists the most. And that's pretty different from getting what looks like a legit NFT for free. In this case, you would actually be going in to buy something, some work that you really want to see, that you really want to own, that you're excited about. So let's say you come down here and you see, see Made of Medusa. It's what you're looking at. It's by this artist. Can't you see it? And Antonius, right? And so that's who you want to buy from. But often when you're scrolling, you might see just a copy paste a screenshot of that same work listed for very very cheap, and say this is going for zero point 0.5 ETH, and that's a fair price for it. You see it for 0.05, and you pull the trigger, and you're like, hey, I should buy this thing while it's cheap. Let me put a bid in, let me buy it. But it's a screenshot that you're buying. It's not from the artist. It's just ripped, kind of mass produced by the scammer. And they say here, like, a lot of these automated pieces they won't sell, but if they can use bots to list 500,000 pieces, and if 1% of them sell, well, that's free money for the scammer. And there's some risk, but if they're anonymous, it's hard to catch them. Um, and it's just it's a real shame to see artists dealing with this. It looks like RJ Palmer is one of the artists that was pretty deeply affected by this. They said here, in the last 24 hours, I've had to report 29 instances of my art getting stolen. I'm so very tired of this, and it seems to be getting worse. Every artist I know is getting their work jacked, and it's just not fair or right. Um, and it's really sad. It's a post like this that gets a lot of attention that may drive some more attention to their work, and that's a nice result, but they're still getting their art stolen, which is a real shame. And unfortunately, artists reaching out to the platform and saying, "Hey, I'm reporting this other scammer." It's not a good use of their time. What they should be able to do with their time is make art. They shouldn't have to, ask for users to be taken down. And so, maybe this is a question for the platforms to figure out, the marketplaces. Maybe that's a much broader problem to solve. But it's, definitely a thorny one, right? And so, at the very least, as buyers, we can be aware that this is going on and make sure that our money is going in the right direction. All right, so I know we've covered a lot so far. We've just got three more, and again, we're trying to just highlight as much variety as we can, so that we know what's out there. This one's a lot more close to home, actually. So this was what 2 maybe 3 weeks ago, that one of our users, one of our community members who purchased a screen from Thomas Lynn Peterson, was swap scammed, which is another unfortunate way that this stuff can happen. So they say here the scammers initiated the swap via pseudo swap. Real deal is the real website. The only thing is that he created an NFT with the name of the exact amount of wrapped ether that they agreed on. So they were probably DMing each other in the server and saying like, hey, I think this is a fair price for the screen. Why don't we agree on that? The image was just a ETH logo. It could have just been the screenshot of the work itself. And they said they're in a rush. They're really worried about. I mean, it was so unfortunate. Their family is in Ukraine, and so they're dealing with everything that's happening there. And so they weren't in a mental space to really take the time and look and say, hey, this is what's going on with this swap, and I need to pay attention to this. And of course, I totally understand that. And so this was a really, a good turnaround because the community banded together. That's where I really wanted to showcase this one because Thomas bought the screen and sent it back. And so it was a really, great turnaround, and they really had a good outcome here. And I really hope that their, situation at home is okay and everyone's safe. But just wanted to highlight that these swap scams can happen too. There could be a user in Artblocks who reaches out to you with some interest in one of your pieces, and just kind of if there's a way that you want to verify or see their history in the server, that they're an active member, that they've been in the server for a while, or just double check the image, the price, that it's a verified piece, and it's on the Artblock site. Yeah, just wanted to highlight that. We're gonna hit two more real quick. I'm not gonna do this whole thread, but there was a recent exploit of the OpenSea contract that there was a migration maybe a week and a half to 3 weeks ago, and right there were some. I don't know if y'all saw, but there were some listings um, that had been made months and months and months ago that were still considered to be active listings that weren't real listings. They were canceled by the user, but they were still active on OpenSea. Bored Apes, I think, were hit by this a ton, and you might have seen a few Bored Apes that sold for like 1 ETH or 0.5 ETH when the floor was between 60 and 100 ETH. And so what happened, it seems, is that there was a phishing attack because it wasn't actually a smart contract that had the issue. This is a team member from OpenSea. Let's see, this is the CTO. There you go. It's the CTO OpenSea. So they, explain here that there were valid signatures on the listings, right? So somebody 6 months ago said, I would sell my Bored Ape for 5 ETH, but then the price started going up, and so they canceled it, right? But that original listing had a valid signature. So they did sign an order somewhere at some point in time. Here it says none of these orders were broadcasted to OpenSea at the time of signing. None of the malicious orders were executed against the new Wyvern contract. That's what OpenSea builds their marketplace on top of. And so this is unrelated to the migration and the changes in the contract. 32 users had NFTs stolen. As far as I've seen, that's really however many people were attacked. It wasn't really widespread. It was targeted. And so what I've seen, I don't know if it's mentioned in this thread, but what I've seen is that there was some email sent out, and it was a phishing email sent to people. It wasn't sent by OpenSea. It was sent by some email address that looked like it was from OpenSea. And it asked people to migrate their contract or to, sign a signature canceling their order. say canceling their listing. But that right here is that phishing operation that happened before the old contract was deprecated. And here we're starting to get pretty technical, right? We're talking about standards, EIP 712, other Ethereum proposals. And I really wanted to kind of highlight this one because this is the CTO of OpenSea telling us we don't fully know what the phishing attack was. We have all this different evidence that we're using to suggest that this may have been how people were targeted. And here are some Ethereum proposals that may fix this in the future and may give us stronger signatures. Um, and this I think is a wake up call that we're in a very, very new space that changes rapidly. And some of the attack vectors are things that we don't know about, things that we haven't seen yet. Um, and yeah, I mean, this is he says you're undeniably scary or understandably scary. That's the space that we're in. And here, fortunately, they're working with the users, the affected users, and providing them with additional assistance. I don't know what that looks like exactly, and that's just to point out that like we're kind of all in this together and figuring out, how to navigate the space safely and how to avoid new creative scams that are out there. And so, it's important to follow the best, tips that you hear and to kind of work together to track down like what is exposing everybody, what's, the latest scam and to really highlight that kind of stuff. So okay, last one. It's a bit of a long story, but it's pretty wild. And so this is why I wanted to highlight it. Tanya, how am I doing? Did you have any
Yeah.
questions before I get into this one?
No, everything's looking good. Yeah. Appreciate you being here and talking about these. These are incredibly important for everyone in the community to understand.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm happy to do it. All right, let's get into this one. So Thomas G. ETH, they are building something called Arrowware. And they are another, founder, moderator of a Discord and a DAO. So yeah, they're obviously another target here, and this this was a really dedicated scam. It took place over 2 weeks, and so I wanted to kind of just read through this thread to see how it went down because it's a doozy. So all right, near the cost of all of its ETH, super lucky to have made it through unscathed. What happened was some background: the founder of Arrow. They're working on VTOL aircraft and air taxi protocol. Still early stage, so they're growing a team and they need help, right? So this new user enters the Discord. The user is called Heckshine. The user introduces himself. He's currently working at Ubisoft, and he offers to help with 3D design and animation. The message seemed a little strange, but I just attributed that to a language barrier. Heckshine also has a friend that is really passionate about VTOLs and is working on a metaverse project. Her brother-in-law is a VP at Boeing. What a connection. So, exciting. Thomas is getting more help. And over the next few days, Heckshine actually starts working on animation projects for Arrow. He designs a really neat animated version of the hero image for their website. Then he starts working on some aircraft renderings. And, Thomas and the rest of the team, they're all pretty impressed. While this is going on, Heckshine also reaches out to his friend Lynn. I think she was mentioned earlier, the VP of Boeing. Family member. Lynn's interested, and Heckshine asks Thomas to send her an email. And Lynn seems like a really great connection. This is, all of the back and forth between Thomas and Heckshine about Lynn. So Lynn reaches out with a thoughtful email. She explains a bit about her metaverse project, which is Space Falcon. It's not really Thomas's thing. He's not really an NFT person, but he didn't really think it was a bad idea. And obviously, there's a huge ton of detail here. Kitty Hawk Corporation, different years. We're talking a lot of specifics. This is not, some fly by night, cold DM with a bum link, right? So, okay, Thomas is talking with Lynn. She explains more about her connection with Boeing and Whisk, offers some thoughts about his company. She wants to help out. Tone of the email is a little strange, but I assume it's also just a language barrier. Lynn and I move the conversation to Discord. We talk about backgrounds. She's going to help out as an advisor, and she offers guidance and advice around what would work for partnerships for the team. And again, Arrows is growing and they need partnerships, so they're eager to get the help. So then she tells him some more about Space Falcon, her NFT project. It seems kind of like a get rich quick scheme, but that's how Thomas sees a lot of NFTs. So there you go. Not his thing, but he wants to show a little support. Um, Space Falcon uses something called Armstrong wrapped ether. Thomas says, I don't really get it, but don't bother to do the research. Users will have to lease the NFTs and can provide some passive income to the holders. I tell her that sounds neat and to keep me posted. I just want to point out, that's maybe a new mechanism in NFTs, but it's not. It's pretty normal that you would hear about some new utility, some new angle for providing liquidity or um, merging DeFi ideas with an NFT project. So that's not a red flag, because maybe this is some alpha and he's getting in early on some new project with a good idea. So he looks up Space Falcon. He hadn't heard of it, but it's a fairly popular gaming project on Solana. Lynn's name is on the team page. They're going to stay in touch, and he's working on some other stuff. 10 days go by. Heckshine is active in Discord every day. He puts out really high quality renderings. They're not airworthy, but he's really excited to be helping, and Thomas wants to improve and iterate on Heckshine's work. He's really, really engaged. Heckshine's really committed. They're aligned on the vision, and it seems like this might be a new core team member for all they know. So then things start to get really crazy. Heckshine and Thomas have been DMing back and forth about the design for our V1 aircraft. Heckshine gets the entire configuration. He's ready to start rendering. As they're wrapping up, Lynn reaches back out with some exciting news. She's going on a tour of Whisk, and she invited Thomas to join. And there's a screenshot of an email thread with somebody who actually works at Whisk. So again, like a lot of detail here. Thomas said this is kind of absurd in hindsight, but I had no reason to think this wouldn't be real. So we set a date for the trip, and Sebastian's going to send a formal invite, and he's just really grateful. Thomas is really grateful that Lynn set this up. Oh yeah, by the way, the staking app for the NFT project launched, and Lynn offers to send an NFT. So he wants to help out. He wants to test her because she's helping him out. So he said, hey, can you send it to my hot wallet? She sends it to his primary because it's so valuable. No big deal, right? What could go wrong? So Lynn sends some instructions on the staking app. The site has different transactions that are prompted, an NFT approval, a token approval for Armstrong wrapped ETH, and a staking function. The token approval seems a little strange, but don't hold the token so I don't worry. Now here's where I got incredibly lucky. Since it's a new project, I decided to move the NFT to a fresh ETH address before going through the staking process, just in case they get exploited down the road. The stake goes through and I'm earning yield on it. So this is an actively working staking pool. This isn't a click once and get scammed kind of scam. Thomas says, hey, Lynn, I'm staked. It was pretty easy. She offers to send me one of the other NFTs. She wants me to stake it on my main account to help them with their growth. A little annoying, but I'm fine with it. I let Lynn know I'm going to read through the contracts before I stake it on my main account, and she starts to get pushy. This is when I finally realize that something sketchy is going on. So I pull up Etherscan for the new address where I staked the first NFT, and my blood goes ice cold. The A-WEEF that I approved was not Armstrong ETH, but it was Ave's A-WEEF. On my main address, almost all of my ETH is sitting in Ave. At this point, I ghost the scammers, and they eventually start deleting all their Discord messages. As some final attempt, she sends me 0.2 ETH to cover gas fees and asks for the NFTs back. I dig further into the contract that I almost approved to spend my A-WEEF and find this truly terrifying function. This is where the scammers would have been able to transfer any amount of A-WEEF out of my account. And again, that's Ave-WEEF, right, which is almost all of his funds. And if we look at the contract function here, it's called spend wallet A-WEEF. There's a requirement here that's just saying the owner has to have approved the contract. So he must have done that transaction at some point, or maybe this was the step that he almost clicked and decided not to. As soon as somebody approves that, then Lynn or whoever else is able to transfer from his wallet any amount, as much as they want at any time. And he can't stop them because this only owner function means that Lynn can call that contract or whoever wrote the contract. But Thomas would be, screwed. He would lose all of his funds. Um, he found a source of their funds. It was a tornado cash deposit. He says they were well funded and super smart. I have to assume they hired a 3D design contractor that was doing Heckshine's work. They also had custom contracts on the front end for this scam. Space Falcon's actually a legit project. It's on Solana, and it looks like they used a fake domain. And there was an imposter who was interacting as the real Lynn. There's a real Lynn out there working on Space Falcon. Um, so he goes through some takeaways here. Token approvals can be dangerous. You got to be cautious. But this is the scary part. Scammers are getting smarter. This is the best scam he's encountered. This is the best one I've heard of. Because yeah, usually it's pretty quick, and they're like, "Hi, I'm tech support, and I need your private key." But it gets a lot more sophisticated than that. And so that's kind of all I had for you guys. Sorry to leave you on a down note, but that's why it's important to stay together and be a strong community and watch out for these things.
Yeah, and I think it's important to highlight also that if you're unsure about something, and no matter how big or small, talk to some other people, get their input. I mean, you don't have to make this decision on your own, because yeah, maybe there is something good out there, but if it sounds like, as mikespellcheck said, if it sounds too good to be true, then chances are that it's, yeah, too good to be true, and that someone is trying to scam you. And I mean, that thread is insane, because it's such like a slow burn where it's like, oh, okay, they're not like trying to get you within the first like 30 seconds. Like, I mean, it sounds like this was over the course of, several days or even weeks, which is mind blowing to me.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I mean, I'll be honest. I don't know if I would have gotten out of this.
Yeah.
Most of this probably would have gotten my ETH.
Yeah, I agree. It's like it's so well done that they obviously put the time and effort into it, and you really don't see that often. So I think it's great that you highlighted, things that are super simple, where it's just like Discord, you just click something, or this one where it's like something that takes several days, and you're basically trusting this person over the course of a long amount of time, and then it's for me, as someone who's not a coder, like I wouldn't even be able to understand reading the contract and being like, oh yeah, this is like an exploit or it's something dangerous. So that's why I think it's always just good to, like, if you're not sure, if you want somebody else to look at the contract, definitely reach out to people who might be able to help you out, or maybe reach out to the engineers or our staff. We can probably let you know almost immediately if it's something that we put together, or it's something maybe just needs more research. So yeah,
Yeah.
this was fantastic. Yeah, did you have any other like closing notes, or maybe some like highlighted things to kind of reiterate to people in the community?
Well, on that note, talking about the contract, I would just to point out that, even if you don't know Solidity, if you see something like a transfer from, that is in a place where it shouldn't be, or you see a lot of, talk about like a sneaky transfer, in a contract, then that really is where, money could be, sent out. And anything like that, if you're not expecting it, that's a scary one. That's a scary line of code right
Yeah.
there. But I guess other than that, just kind of, really, really thinking about the fundamentals and making sure that you're first, not ever giving out your seed wallet phrase. Um, it's a good thing to write down and keep offline. Write it on, pen and paper, and have a couple of copies, in the house and outside of the house, where it'll stay safe. Like good wallet hygiene is really important. You want to, take your high value NFTs and maybe put them in a vault that's not actively traded. Can be good to like actually go into your MetaMask and routinely kind of deny access to websites you've approved. I know I've looked in there and seen that I had 30 to 50 websites that I've approved. Um, Even just the ability to look at the balances in my MetaMask account, which that doesn't mean they can move money out, but it's just a good habit to go in there sometimes and remove access so that you can approve only the sites that you want to approve. And just being aware of what's out there, and chatting with people to see what everyone's watching out for, can be helpful. But yeah, I hope this talk was helpful.
Yeah, this was fantastic. And, this is all stuff that's happened in the past, 6 months, maybe to a year even. But, I bet you in the next year, we'll probably see a lot more sophisticated, attacks and attempts from people. So I think it might be great to maybe have you on, several months from now where I'm sure other things will kind of like happen. And, it's good to just like have these conversations, educate people that might not be familiar. And even if you are, it's just good to reiterate a lot of the stuff that, a lot of us don't. Sometimes you just take it for granted, And when you said with regards to your seed phrase, I mean, I highly recommend getting one of these steel plates. You can get them off Amazon and you can like engrave your seed phrase. So if there is like something that happens to your house or whatever, then, at least it's there. It can like sustain really high temperatures, but also just maybe keeping it in some place outside of your house, whether it be, I don't know. I think everyone's going to be a little bit different, but I know some people, Snowfro even mentioned before that, he has like multiple locations outside of where they live, and kind of just like having the seed phrase stored at a vault inside of an actual bank, or I think there's just different ways to do it. But yeah, it's good to just educate yourself, ask questions, and hopefully you don't learn from a mistake. It does happen, unfortunately, but yeah, Mike Spellcheck, thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate it, for joining me on After Dinner Mints. Yeah, with that being said, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I think that's everything. Thanks for having me on, Panyo. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. For everyone tuning in, make sure you comment, like, and subscribe to the Artblocks YouTube channel. Be kind to each other. Buy what you love. As Mike Spellcheck said, get a hardware wallet, and we will see you all next week. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day.